absolute cretins decide to inject themselves into the devastation in Los Angeles for one reason: to get their faces.
What else? The logo's been nicked from Mallorca's crest of arms or something like that. And so she's changed it to being called As Ever. Yep, as corny and as cringe.
Now she's been accused of copying Hollywood icon Pamela Anderson after similarities were found between the trailer for Pamela's Cooking with Love venture and Meghan.
In a media landscape saturated with royal rebranding and celebrity reinventions, few stories have stirred up as much controversy as Meghan Markle's latest Netflix venture, With Love, Meghan. Intended as a wholesome lifestyle series, the show aimed to present the Duchess of Sussex as a relatable, modern-day homemaker. But it didn't take long for critics, and especially Megyn Kelly, to tear the carefully curated image apart. From accusations of narcissism and overproduction to parody videos and comparisons to Pamela Anderson, Megyn's show has become more of a lightning rod than a love letter. In this deep dive, we unpack the top 10 talking points surrounding the disaster unfolding behind the Netflix kitchen counter. With brutal critiques from comedians, media personalities, and even family members, this script breaks down exactly why Meghan Markle's cooking show might be her most tone-deaf move yet, and what it means for her brand moving forward.
And Harry's Sussex? I have no idea. And no, Megyn, no one knew that. Like, why are you correcting? You know.
Which is, I'm going to show you how to make a happy, warm, loving home after I have successfully severed my husband's ties from his entire family. It's okay, it's not expensive like your clothes are.
Look at how fun that is.
Megyn Kelly wasted no time torching Meghan Markle's Netflix cooking show. In what can only be described as a media flamethrower session, Kelly dismantled the premise, tone, and execution of With Love, Meghan. She accused Meghan of being controlling, self-important, and completely out of touch with reality. Far from portraying an authentic or warm persona, the show came off as a cringeworthy attempt to humanize someone living in a $14 million Montecito estate. Kelly wasn't alone. Viewers echoed her sentiments, calling the show fake and uncomfortable to watch. What should have been an opportunity for Megyn to win hearts ended up spotlighting the disconnect between her branding and the public's perception. Kelly's takedown set the tone for a wave of criticism that would engulf the series, making it clear that the days of giving Meghan Markle the benefit of the doubt are rapidly coming to an end.
I am physically nauseated watching that clip. That is like a parody of what that show should be. I had to get it totally wrong to get it totally right. I just love, really one of my favorite things is doing small, wonderful acts of charity and kindness for people to let them know I'm thinking of them. You know, I love... What? You love Megyn. Someone pointed out on Twitter, I forget who it was, the woman who destroyed her in-laws' family, whose own family doesn't like her, whose the in-laws obviously don't like her, the public doesn't like her. She seems to be one of the more vindictive, sort of nasty figures in public life. What's the title of her show? Love. Love Megyn. For what? To watch? Who wants to watch Meghan Markle bake a pie? Even in the commercial, what's really wrong with this is all the little clips of her seem to attempt to show some.
Instead of simply criticizing from the sidelines, Megyn Kelly and Maureen Callahan took things a step further. They created a parody of With Love, Megyn. This mock version hilariously mimicked Meghan's over-the-top hospitality, complete with repackaged, store-bought snacks and overly scripted scenes. The satire struck a nerve because it wasn't far from the truth. Meghan's show had already been widely mocked online for lacking authenticity, and the parody nailed every awkward moment. It resonated with viewers so strongly that it quickly went viral, racking up praise for being more entertaining than the original. It wasn't just funny, it was a surgical strike on Meghan's carefully curated image. By highlighting the ridiculousness of the show's presentation, the parody exposed a fundamental issue. When a satire feels more real than the original might be the real joke. For Megyn, that's a branding nightmare disguised as lifestyle content.
This is something that I can create in front of my daughter and teach her what it's like to be a working mom. That's the goal.
To deploy with our huge freaking basket in our backyard garden that looks like Central Park.
If Meghan Markle hoped critics would embrace her new venture, she was sorely mistaken. With Love, Megyn received a brutal 28% score on Rotten Tomatoes. Reviews were not just negative, they were damning. The Guardian called the show gormless lifestyle filler, suggesting it lacked both substance and charm. The Telegraph went even further, awarding it just 2 stars and labeling it insane and an exercise in narcissism. These weren't isolated opinions. They represented a consensus that Megyn's show tried to do too much and ended up doing nothing well. The series' glossy finish, combined with its hollow content, failed to deliver on its promise of relatability. Critics noted that while the show strained to feel warm and welcoming, it instead came off cold and performative. When media outlets across the board start using terms like empty and unwatchable, the message is loud and clear. This was not the comeback Megyn hoped for.
I was part of dance crews, all that stuff.
You were?
Yeah.
No one talks about all the dances that were such a big deal, not the actual dance, but
Bringing in familiar faces like Mindy Kaling should have been a win, but even that couldn't rescue the show from its flaws. In her episode, Kaling tried to keep things casual by talking about loving fast food and relatable quirks. Instead of running with that authentic vibe, Megyn pivoted the conversation toward reinforcing her Duchess title, correcting lighthearted jokes, and making everything about her royal brand. The dynamic quickly shifted from friendly banter to awkward sermon. It was a missed opportunity. People wanted to see Megyn connect, not correct. Audiences tuned in for real conversations, not PR-polished narratives. And when a guest as beloved and genuine as Mindy Kaling struggles to break through Megyn's branding wall, it speaks volumes. Instead of using the guest appearance to loosen up and let viewers in, Megyn doubled down on control, turning a promising segment into just another example of why her show feels so scripted and stiff.
So I don't know if you guys are watching this like flower sprinkles Netflix show that she's got, but it's really revving people up.
In her interview with People magazine, Megyn emphasized how much it meant to be seen as a working mom. She claimed the show was something she could build alongside her daughter, offering an inspiring example of balancing motherhood and ambition. But Megyn Kelly wasn't buying it, and neither were many viewers. Kelly sharply countered that Megyn's version of working mom life looked nothing like reality. It's hard to relate when your job involves curated kitchen sets, high-end floral arrangements, and pre-written talking points. While Megyn may believe she's inspiring mothers around the world, critics argue she's presenting an unrealistic, airbrushed version of life. The idea of relatability crumbles under the weight of million-dollar production value and luxury branding. It's less about connection and more about image maintenance. And in trying so hard to be seen as a relatable mom, Megyn may have only reminded viewers just how far removed she really is.
Now she's been accused of copying Hollywood icon Pamela Anderson after similarities were found between the trailer for Pamela's Cooking with Love venture and
Meghan Markle found herself at the center of yet another storm when fans began comparing with Love Megyn to Pamela Anderson's earlier announced Cooking with Love. Both shows shared not just similar names, but strikingly alike aesthetics, tone, and even messaging. Anderson's trailer featured scenes of her whipping up simple meals in a breezy California kitchen, eerily similar to Megyn's Netflix presentation. Critics were quick to call Megyn's version derivative, with some accusing her of copying Anderson's style and branding. This wasn't helped by nearly identical lines in both trailers. While Pamela received high praise and a 9.8 IMDb rating, Megyn's show limped in with a low 2.7. The contrast only deepened the embarrassment. Megyn's critics saw it as another sign that her brand relies more on mimicry than originality. In an era where authenticity is everything, getting labeled a copycat can be a reputational disaster. And for Megyn, this might be one of the harshest blows yet.
Complete opposite. I mean, that's just another one of the malarkey stories she sold to the royal family for sympathy.
Even with me growing up, it was so much fast food, and yes, I get when you're...
Public figures can usually count on comedians to deliver cutting, unfiltered feedback, and Megyn got plenty of it. Catherine Ryan, who once supported Megyn, did a full reversal, accusing the Duchess of being fake, manicured, and overly rehearsed. Christina Pazitsky echoed those thoughts, calling Megyn highly inauthentic and phony. Even John Mulaney joked that Netflix gave Harry and Meghan a pile of money without a plan, calling them aimless content creators. These criticisms didn't come from tabloids, they came from respected names in entertainment. Their jabs carried weight, highlighting how even fellow celebrities find Megyn's public persona performative. It's one thing to be roasted on social media, It's another to be the punchline on comedy tours and podcasts. Once the court of public opinion starts laughing at you instead of with you, reclaiming credibility becomes exponentially harder. And in Meghan's case, the laughter is getting louder and more unforgiving.
Execs. He says not since Harry and Meghan has Netflix given more money to someone without a specific plan.
Despite a surge into Netflix's top 10 shortly after launch, behind the scenes, the streaming giant is reportedly far from thrilled. Ratings were lukewarm, and internal sources claimed the second season of With Love, Meghan had already been filmed as a cost-effective move, not due to demand. The fact that Netflix hasn't renewed Meghan's contract speaks volumes. Industry insiders suggest the second season was more of a safety net than a success story. It allowed producers to adjust course if reception was poor, which it was. While Meghan may frame the show's continuation as a win, the truth is murkier. Netflix took a gamble on her brand, and according to sources, it didn't pay off. With major stars and franchises on its roster, Netflix is unlikely to keep backing a lukewarm lifestyle series that garners more ridicule than praise. Meghan's future with the platform is now in limbo, and that's not a good sign.
What else? The logo's been nicked from Mallorca's crest of arms or something like that. And so she's changed it to being called As Ever. Yep, as corny and as cringe.
Megyn Kelly accused Meghan and Harry of exploiting real-world tragedies for their own publicity. She specifically called out their appearances during the California wildfires and the Uvalde school shooting. Kelly labeled them disaster opportunists and claimed their photo ops were shallow and manipulative. A particular moment, where Meghan removed the lid from a plastic bin during relief efforts, became meme material online. Critics, including Candace Owens, mocked the moment as performative and disingenuous. What could have been a heartfelt gesture instead became symbolic of Meghan's image problem. She's seen as someone who can't engage without a camera in sight. The backlash wasn't limited to Kelly. Across platforms, users questioned Meghan's sincerity, suggesting she uses tragedy as a branding opportunity. In an age where authenticity is currency, being labeled as an opportunist can do serious damage, especially for someone already battling public skepticism.
Absolute cretins decide to inject themselves into the devastation in Los Angeles for one reason: to get their faces right. Stop getting off on the trauma porn of real suffering in Los Angeles.
Even Meghan's own family isn't letting her off the hook. Her half-brother, Thomas Markle Jr., criticized her portrayal of a difficult upbringing, dismissing her TV dinner childhood story as fiction. Meanwhile, Catherine Ryan pointed out contradictions in Meghan's narrative, like her claim of growing up poor versus past statements about enjoying farm-to-table meals. These inconsistencies have become ammunition for critics who see Meghan as crafting a story that suits her current agenda. Her sudden rebranding of American Riviera Orchard to As Ever also raised eyebrows, with some accusing her of lifting logos and ideas from others. Meghan's own explanation, figuring it out in real time, didn't satisfy fans or critics. Instead of appearing adaptable, it reinforced the perception of someone struggling to define a genuine brand. And as these inconsistencies mount, the trust gap between Meghan and her audience continues to widen. What was supposed to be a warm, relatable Netflix return has instead ignited a firestorm of backlash, satire, and industry skepticism. From Megyn Kelly's unrelenting takedowns to comedians calling out her phoniness and critics tearing apart the show's artificial tone, With Love, Meghan has become less about love and more about image implosion. As Meghan Markle attempts to recalibrate her brand, pivoting to fashion and teasing a 2026 relaunch, one thing is clear: the road to redemption won't be easy. In a world that craves sincerity, every misstep under the spotlight is magnified. Whether she can recover from the criticism or fade into branded obscurity remains to be seen. But if the public and media's response to her Netflix experiment is any indication, the Duchess has a lot more cooking to do, off camera, before she wins back hearts, minds, and trust.